Welcome to the Landscaping Podcast. My name is Joel Barnett and I'm your host. And in today's episode, I'm talking with Emmaline Bowman from STEM Landscape Architecture. Emmaline works all around Victoria, basically doing natural designs with their focuses on wildlife and habitat design to get insects and bugs and frogs and all sorts of creatures back into landscape and provide habitats for them using indigenous plants and just various habitats for them, so logs and waterways and all sorts of things. So she's clearly got a lot of passion for what she does, which is an awesome person to talk to because of that. And it's great to see what she's doing. Like, as I said, I think it was about Ben Hutchison that she's the type of landscape designer who changes the world for the better because of what she does. So not doing just normal landscape designs like other people do, but actually doing it with a great message behind it and a great desire to do things and improve the world. So can't recommend it highly enough. And it was an interesting start where she spoke about how she started off doing aquariums and how I said how similar the plantscaping is to aquascaping in terms of aquariums, like using different plants with heights and texture and all that sort of thing. So I found that interesting, and it was a pathway I hadn't heard of before. And she had a great tip early on about getting your business set up in the early days when it's quiet. So because it can be a bit overwhelming if you get too busy, and then it's hard to make those changes. So she mentions that was a great idea. And when I complimented her on the design style and how different it is to the majority of people, she's mentioned it's a good thing that there's different designers because there's different clients who have got different needs. So, basically there's someone for everyone. And then towards the end, she's got a great message about not getting burnt out. So there's plenty of great bits of advice here from Emmaline in this chat. So hopefully you enjoy this chat with Emmaline Bowman. Thank you very much for joining us on the Landscaping Podcast. My first question for you is, how did you start in the industry?
It was a bit long-winded, actually. So I'm a landscape architect. So when I finished school, I was all into aquariums, and I actually went into bioscience and zoology, and I wanted to deal with animals. And what happened was I was there, but I was very artsy, and I thought, how can I combine this? I'd like to create gardens or landscapes and ecologies for wildlife, and maybe I could work in zoos and fix that up because I thought zoos were terrible. And I kind of went into landscape architecture, and I did that course and did my Bachelor of Design, and then I did my master's, and I did my master's researching cohabitation of animals and human species in urban environments. And that was sort of like where I wanted to go. And then I finished that. I worked with Green and Dale Associates, and then I actually did a stint with Philip Withers. And then I sort of saw a gap because I really wanted to create environments for wildlife and bring in these ecologies. And people are, they're doing things where they're trying to think about the environment and using plants and things like that, but they weren't using indigenous plants to be able to bring in local wildlife. So that's where I started STEM. That's how I started.
What sort of rundown? What sort of aquariums did you have?
I had tropical fish tanks. I had a marine tank, which I will not do anymore, but I had native fish. I had so many tanks, like heaps of 4-foot tanks. And when I said when I was 18 that I'm moving, I'm going to Melbourne to become go to university, Dad was like, good, go. My bill's too high. I think I had about 14 4-foot tanks at that stage. I was pretty obsessed, and I used to plant them all out. So I used to make them like little underwater gardens in a way, and I got them to a point where I could have them for about 9 months without having to do a water change, because they would have this little cycle through them. And that led to me having a little business at uni, having ponds and things like that. And I used those ponds, and then people would hire me to go do their ponds, and that's where I just kept going up and up. So
I had a marine tank for a while as well, and I don't know how people can afford to have one these days with the cost of electricity.
They're full on and they're absolutely incredible. But the thing that got me was all of those fish are taken out from the wild, and when I had discovered that, I just couldn't do it. And it was shocking when I just was naive when I was younger, and when I started to delve into it, I was like, that is horrendous. I couldn't do it. And then, really getting into it, they get all from Asian countries, and it's pretty sad. So,
but you can see the link between planting out aquariums and landscape, because there's some pretty impressive looking aquariums getting around there using all sorts of different plants and everything. So it makes sense.
Yeah, aquascaping is amazing, and it is like gardening, because you're looking at structures, you're looking at plants, you're looking at the ecology, you're looking at like basically the soils in your aquarium as well, and how it's all running. So it all links, and the success of it comes down to how healthy it is and how perfect you've sort of got the whole environment working. So I found it really fascinating.
I was a massive nerd when I was into it, but then had kids. I think that's what maybe stopped me.
Oh, it's full of, like, we've got 3 tanks at home now, and like I said, I've got it where I put my plants in and I don't have to do anything, and literally I've left it and they're just growing out of control. They're jungles at the moment, so I've got to get in there and clean it, but at least the water is sparkling clear, the pHs are fine, everything's fine. But they do take time, and we don't have time. Not anymore.
So how long were you working with Phil Withers for?
I would have been with him for, I think, close to 3 years, at least 2.5 to 3 years. I think I was his first employee, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was me and Phil, and we had a office down in Brayside, and we shared it with Candio Design with Brent and Kim. Oh, yeah. And it was good times. We had really good times. We used to play indoor cricket in the afternoon. So, no, we had a really nice time there. And,
was that at Garden World? Is that the same site?
That was at Garden World, with James, and it was really cool. Like, I definitely learned a lot, like being able to do plants, and I would just go into the nursery and kind of look at what plant species I wanted to put into the plants. It was very handy and taught me a lot. It was great. Cool. Yeah.
So how did you go about getting work for yourself after that?
I was very lucky because I always had my own business during uni, where I was doing up people's like fish tanks and doing those sort of maintenance, and I was planting out ponds, and then it turned like into really large ponds and things like that. So I had that as like a side gig, and that was sort of like, I guess I was sort of propelling myself into that world. And basically I sort of finished up with Phil, and I had all those things still going. And then I actually entered MIFGUS, or the Melbourne International Flower Show, and went in for a boutique garden, and I did Wild at Heart, this little habitat garden, and we got first place, so all gold in the boutique section. So it just put me up from there, and I actually was very, very fortunate. I had work straight away, and there was a little bit of time. That in itself though can be a bit hard, because if you don't set up your business sometimes right at the start, where you've got like a little bit of a slow time, sometimes what happens is you go too fast, that it becomes a bit overwhelming, and some of the processes that would take time to develop just don't happen, because you're just like, oh my gosh, I've got to get things done. So it's actually been really nice with like some staff that they've brought in, and this is why it's really important to have staff, is that they bring in certain processes to help you out sometimes. Sometimes you're just like, oh my God, I'm too overwhelmed. So
could not highlight that more. So many people just start business because they like, especially people starting in the last couple of years, everything's flat out. So you start your business and everything's just crazy all of a sudden, and then if you don't know what you're doing, you just get taking jobs, saying yes to everything. So I haven't heard anyone articulate it like that, but starting slow is a great way to do it.
It's a really great way, and I think it is something that people should be sort of aware of, and to really utilize that time. If you are feeling like you don't have as much work, use that time to really get yourself sorted, because it will always pick up. And if you do have low times, use that time. I know you probably want to have a breather and you probably want to take a holiday, but try and use a little bit of time just to set up some processes, because but sometimes you never get time. So I don't know. Yeah,
like I'm in that basket as well. Like I just started working, had no plan or anything. It was just taking on jobs and doing whatever. And then you get to a point where you want to start systems and processes, but it's a really overwhelming thing to do when you've got all these things you're already doing. You just got to start at one and just start ticking them off. So it's a lot easier to do it right from the start. Yeah, that's a great point.
The next best thing is, get some staff members that, or if you that also comes, if you're lucky, if you can get really great staff members that can sort of help you in that world, even if it's for a little short gig. You're sort of like, your role is to do this, but you're also going to like help me manage this thing, because you get to go home at 5 o'clock and think and be able to do all those sort of things where I don't shut off.
Yeah.
And I always feel stressed. Yeah.
And your that garden show you talked about, that was the first time I'd seen the bug hotels. So had you been doing them often before?
That was my partner, Stein, who built them. But yeah, so I mean, yes, and we use different ways to sort of implement bug hotels. So yeah, and I've noticed like since then they've sort of boomed everywhere. Yeah. Yeah. I'm like, did this start? Because anyway, maybe I should have cashed in on that. But yeah, look, like the bug hotels and insects and habitat, it means the health of your garden. So if it might not necessarily be those insect hotels that you do, you can also put holes into like your timbers or retain some logs and things like that. They all become habitat. So everything's sort of an insect box in some way. But yeah, I like that you noticed them. They're good.
Yeah, I love them.
Yeah.
And you had Liam from Indigenous Landscape. He built that garden. So did you have a relationship with him beforehand?
No, I was really lucky. So for the people who don't know how the flower show works, is like you sort of get a little bit of money to be able to put towards your garden. But I was so fresh out there, and I probably didn't want to use Phil's contacts or anything like that. I know Semkin sort of runs the show, and I was sort of like, I might be able to use them. But I thought, I'm going to start to get some people on my side that sort of are in line with what we do. So I was really researching a lot of people, and when I found Indigenous Design Landscaping, I was like, oh my God, wouldn't this be a dream if they would do my garden? Because they like environments and habitats and native ecologies. And so I just emailed Liam, and he had just had a baby, but he said he'd never seen a plan like it. He'd never seen anything where trying to use animals and bring them into the mix. And he said, yeah, we'll do it. And yeah, he's awesome. He's still a really good friend. I really look up to Liam. I think he's amazing. And yeah, he built my garden, and I got that number 1. So I was really happy. But yeah, look, I guess, again, utilize the show and to really try and make those contacts. And the show is really good for that. Yeah, so lucky.
Yeah. That's
and I met you. You're next to us.
Yeah.
I met a lot of people. It was fantastic. Really.
Yeah, a lot of people talk about how good it is for making contacts and relationships, and you see the same people at the show every year and talk to them like you've just left them.
Yeah.
But yeah, and it would have been, I imagine, intimidating reaching out to a landscaper that you don't know to work before, wanting to build your garden, and then you get Liam, who's one of the nicest people in the world.
I know. I was so scared. I was really nervous. I really wanted them, and Liam said yes. So it is really scary, and especially when you start up. And you know what? I still get nervous now, like when we have gardens, and especially because it's so busy with everyone. I still get nervous to be like, do you want to build one of our gardens? So yeah, like I said to you before, I wish I was a builder. I wish I could just do design. I wish I could go onto site and do everything. Basically, don't have time, but I wish I could do it all. We do all the planting and stuff, but yeah. Liam's very in demand now. He's hard to get. He's like 2 years out nearly. So I'm really proud of him. Yeah.
And then you and backed it up again the following year with one of the big show gardens. So when did you decide to do that?
Right after, I was like, oh, that was fun. I'll do it again. And I bit off way more than I could chew. Like, that thing was mammoth. It was huge. We went really big. We got silver though, which I was pretty pleased about. So yeah, he was like, let's do it again. It gave us this anxiety though, because it was full on. Like it was a huge build, and I don't think people realize how much time we put, what we all know how much time we put in, but like for spectators and stuff, I don't think they understand just how much work we do. And yeah, it was great. I would hope to do it again one day, but I'd probably try and get a few more like I don't know, I guess people who would put in a bit more money or something like that, because it is a real big output. And for me, being so young in the game, like I think that was my second year in business, and I had like basically put all my little savings in there. Yeah, it was a big risk, but it turned out well. But yeah, it was a lot.
So did you get a fair bit of work out of it that you know of?
I did. I probably not as much as what everyone thinks you get, and I think I've heard that from most people about the show, is like you get a lot of great contacts, you get great media appearance. I would say out of like people wanting work, you don't get as much as you think. But when I say that, it's not immediate. You get a lot over the years, so it does. I would say it's like works like that. I think it's well worth it though. Like I would not give it up, and I really love the people running it. I think it's a great thing, and I love meeting all you guys. Like, and I think it really brings people together, which is really nice, and it also shows some people for who they are, and you can kind of be careful, how things are. Yeah.
Yeah, but I reckon it's an awesome thing, especially for someone who's got like a unique. I don't know what the word I'm trying to think of, but someone who's got a unique pathway that they design in their gardens, like you do. So not just doing like I just do normal gardens, just run of the mill stuff. Whereas
you don't do for a normal garden.
But there's nothing. I don't know what. Yeah, they're not unique really. I
think. Yeah, it's changing. The best way I would describe it is I love the show because it tends to showcase people's personalities and what they want to bring forward in their, I guess, their ethos or what their business is. So a lot of people who really love the, high end and clipped and perfected gardens, whereas mine's probably wild and a bit unmanaged. Like you need to manage it a bit more, or and then you would like look into more of like the hardscaping, so you can really pick and choose like who really fits for you. And I think that's really important because everyone has something to offer people, and that's what people are looking for. So I'm sure someone who wants a garden who's designed by Paul Bangay will not be looking in my direction at all. So, and that's fine, that's just the way. And I think it's really nice. We're all different, and that's definitely what it's about. And we have to really stop like putting each other down for things if we are a little bit different. So it's good.
Yeah
So
when you said you put staff on early on, so how many did you put on? Right at the start, was it?
Oh, at the start, no. Oh, at the start it was all by myself. It was and then I put on a friend who I went to uni who was fantastic, Mel, but she was driving in from Shepparton every day into Northcote, so it was full on. And look, she's amazing. She's got her own business now called Stag Designs, and that's in Shepparton. She's doing really great. Then I had a lovely girl called Bree, and she was fantastic. She was a really great all-rounder, and she did a whole lot of stuff. And I used to say, Bree, just do everything. It's amazing. And now had Claire, and she'd put all my processes in. I've got Jocelyn and Tom, and everyone has their own really unique ability, and it's really, really nice. So yeah, I really like it. I like having staff, and I like what they can bring to the table, and I really like to look after them as well. So I hope they feel like they're being looked after, because I really want to keep them all around. But I understand, like, we all need differences, or like Jocelyn's, she's at uni and stuff like that. So I'm like, oh, when she finishes uni, where's she going to go? She can stay with me for a bit longer. But yeah, it's really important. And I've been hearing, I don't know how you're going, staff shortages, like trying to find really good people. It is a full-on thing, like to be able to find staff. And sometimes if you have a unique business where you want them to have a certain set of abilities or knowledge, it makes it even harder for you. So I definitely, how are you going in that sense?
I haven't been looking for anyone that hard, because I've got 2 qualified guys who are amazing. But one is moving overseas next year, so I've got to. I don't want to wait until then to replace him. Yeah. So but when I do an ad, you get probably 15% of the applicants that you would have got 3 years ago.
Yeah.
So the quality, is always up and down. You never know what you're going to get. But usually you would get heaps of applicants, even though they're rubbish. But now you don't even get rubbish applicants. But I was listening to a podcast today that was talking about it, and he said that there's 350,000 less migrant workers now than what there was before COVID. So even though they might not be working in your particular industry, that's 350,000 jobs that people are working in. That's why the unemployment's low and there's no one to employ.
Because they're saying it's a real weird thing, but I'm hearing from everyone, they're like, I just can't get anyone to work. It just seems to be everywhere.
It's every industry.
And that's I guess it just puts more strain on you, and but it's been funny. I definitely will be looking for someone in the new year. So it's just, I always get a little bit nervous because you're just like, I have to go through them all, and hopefully there's a winner in there. But it's always one of those things that that's part of being a business owner.
How do you source staff?
I have found the best is bloody Instagram. It's weird. And I remember Liam saying the same thing, though he puts his on LV and all these other different channels. But I find the best always come from there. Don't know why.
I reckon
Have you?
I haven't had any come from Instagram yet, but I think it makes sense because then they can really see the type of work that they do. So if they like the cut of your jib, then they're going to have passion for your kind of style. So it makes sense that they would want to do that. So that could be part of the reason, but
I don't know. I've been also lucky. I'll put some ads out, and there's always been a little gold nugget in there. The stuff that I have, and I've been really fortunate that people sort of hang around for a fair bit. So it's okay. I mean, I've been in the business for 5 years anyway. It's not that long, so I got lots to learn.
And the longer you're in it, the more contacts you make as well. And I've just had a guy who I worked alongside probably 5 years ago, and he said his brother's looking for a job. So
take him on.
So that's another
and
way.
They're usually the best.
Referrals.
Referrals are great. I agree with that.
So do all your 3 staff, do they all do designs at the moment?
We do a mixture. So we do design and we do planting. I love that we can get out, because anyone who's a designer who loves gardens, obviously you like to be outside. But and I say this to a lot of people, and I've said it to other students and people who are in the industry, you when you go into this business of design, you'll spend 90% on a computer, unfortunately. And it's an unfortunate thing, because you're gonna love being outside, right? So I've put it in that we will do the planting, at least placing, but planting it out as well. And I think it's really good because it makes you learn about the plants better, the environments that work, gives you a better rapport with your client. And you also get to make those changes or tweaks that, landscapers, if your contractors are going in, they're going to do it exactly how the plan is, or maybe a little different, but there might have been a slight difference and it might not necessarily look as good. So you can actually make those decisions. So that's why I've put that into the business. But getting us out. And we've been out because it's springtime at the moment. It's been wet enough to keep planting. So, it's been nice, except I've been so lucky because we've planned to do all this planting, and then we had the next 2 weeks in the office and it's all rainy and wet. So it's been really good that we've kind of made it that we're back in here, even though we're supposed to be today, but, we're going to stay in. So,
Yeah. Now, I like what you said about, tweaking, even though the contractor might follow your plan exactly the same. Because I'll tell my guys to do, I want you to do X, Y, Z, and then when I get there, they've done it like that. But then I would have changed it if I was doing it at the time because of something or other. So it's one thing to follow things by the book, but you also it's good to be able to think outside of the box, whereas exactly how you want it, so it's easier for you.
And then again, sometimes you know, there's that thing where some people do think outside the box. Like you can have staff members go, you know what, I'm going to make that design decision and I'm going to swap this around. And but that doesn't always happen. And sometimes it is safer just to follow the plans, because I know people have been burnt when you don't do that either. So, but I mean, I always say this to clients as well. Like, you know, sometimes you get people and they'll be like, oh, this has changed since the plan. You're like, yeah, they had to do that, because, you know, your plans never end up being completely 100% what you've drawn. It just doesn't. There's so many little tiny factors that get in there and change it. And, to be involved in that process from the start, and then you've got your builder, and then you can finish it off and look at it. It's really important and it's really good. And it teaches you, because you know, like, what to expect for all your designs in the future. So never stop learning or changing. So it's good.
Yeah. So have you done a lot of wetland gardens, that sort of thing as well?
Yeah. I really should put more on my Instagrams and stuff. But yeah, we're doing one. We're going to be starting the water planting in about 2 weeks. So all water planting starts in the warmer months. You can't plant in winter because obviously water planting goes dormant. We've got one in Heskett. It was actually a site of a film cruise with La Brea, like some sort of sinkhole show. Silly show. I shouldn't probably say that, but yeah, it's a bit silly. It was basically in Colorado. I think that's where it's set. The Macedon Ranges looks a lot like it, because eucalypts have become a weed over there or something. And so they've basically gone onto Google Earth and gone, yep, this is the property. Let's bring these guys up and we're going to put our set on there. And they paid them pretty well. And yeah, and there's a whole thing where they had to like make the site look the same as what before they touched it. And I don't know if you've ever seen film sets, but it's full on. Like, it actually looks like a full city. Like, it's incredible what they do on these things, and the building. But I mean, the whole site was basically turned into this movie set, and then they've just gone in, and what happened was they ended up, the sinkhole, which was like this tiny little dammy thing, is now like an actual wetland, and we've got an additional wetland, 2 of them, one near the house. So all that planting is going to start. Then we've got another one down in Halston, which is down in Gippsland. And there's really beautiful rainforest. So we've got gully plantings and things to do in there. Yeah, I guess we had 2 really big projects last year as well. So you kind of fit about 2 in a year. But yeah, with all the other stuff. So yeah, there's a few out in Macedon.
Where does most of your work come from?
Everywhere. I've had some in Queensland, finished one in New South Wales, but Macedon Ranges has been a lot. Like, we've had Kyneton, 2 projects in Macedon, one in Rockford. Yeah, they seem to be all out there a fair bit. And like I said, I've had them in Halston. We've done them up in Murrelbach, Northcote. I think we're a bit of everywhere. We had a really lovely project, which was really fun during lockdown, up at Tellingutta, which is near sort of Albury Wodonga way. So we did a farm rehabilitation, and they've got dams on there where we rehabilitated, or did plans for rehabilitating the dams, to have all native vegetation. All the laneways are going to be, basically repopulated with Indigenous tree species to help with the biodiversity and fix up the erosion. It's really cool. It's all on this main road called Yabba Road, and the client, who's just fantastic, she ended up getting a lot of funding from the council through there, and they're giving them all this money and grants to be able to start to implement it. So it's a really, really cool project. But yeah, doing these farming, like, because I'm from farm background, my dad has a 1,500 acre farm. So kind of understand it. And I guess size, even though you might feel like it's a bit overwhelming, I'm kind of like, it's a farm. Let's plant it. It'll be all right.
Did I see you you worked near Geelong? Were you in Bannockburn or somewhere?
Yeah, we've got a job in Barwon. We've got 2 jobs in Barwon at the moment. I think I was going to see if I could get you to do something, but I don't know.
Too busy.
Yeah, I know. I thought so. But yeah, we're doing one at Barwon Heads. It's a really big one. That's also got a little wetland in there, actually. We're trying to rectify the water issues because they're on a slope. But it's a bit of everything, hey? We mix it up. Like, it's between doing a lot of water environments to environmentally sort of focused habitat design and using local plants. It could be just a small little garden. You want raised veggie beds and you want to increase your productivity and bring in those local pollinators and things like that. We just do a whole range of stuff, I guess. But it's always trying to be within that area of how do we bring in wildlife and bring in your pollinators and increase that biodiversity to help you and the environment and create a green wedge to support like that ecosystem. Because I think it's really important because we're losing a lot of our wild spaces, and I just want to try and create like a network where at least there's pockets where these animals or these species can still flourish. And you're actually, what's really cool, like we went to, there was I don't know if you've heard of it, but the Cranbourne Botanical Gardens do a plant sale, and they've got this great initiative called Raising for Rarity or something like that, Raising Rarity. And what it is they go in and they find these really endangered or limited sort of areas where these plants would grow, and they're creating these stocks of, you know, endangered plants which you can put into your garden. So there's like things, especially up like a barland, where I just grabbed like a whole lot of this Grevillea infectacunda, which is like a grevillea that looks like a little holly bush. It's all very spiky, so endangered, or it's pretty rare to find now because you see on those sand dunes. So, you know, grabbing them and being able to put them into these gardens means that not only there be an insect or something that needs and relies on this plant, but what you're doing is you're creating a store of these plants that reside in people's gardens. So if anything goes wrong, you could go in and be like, that plant exists in this garden, you can get some of these cuttings, or you can get seed, and we can restore this one day. If we ever want to bring a reserve, those plants can go in. So that's why it's really important to sort of think about, those species.
Yeah, I was just going to ask that. So that's why you use Indigenous over just native plants.
Yeah.
For that reason.
So, and I love using natives because, you know, Indigenous is, you want that local area. It's going to work really well there. It's, you know, evolved for eons in that area, and you've got so many animal species that rely on that, so you're looking after them. And then whereas I put my natives in conjunction, because you kind of doing a similar thing, but you are bringing a bit of a showpiece as well to the garden, because you can then pick and choose, because you're like, oh, that color would look so nice. But I think what I really want to do, or what I want to show, is that there are so many exotic plants that we all use, but there is basically like nearly identical species that are Australian. And if not, they're even better, really, because they're so unique. And I think that's what I'm trying to show people, is like, you can use an alternative, and it can be native, and it can be better for the environment. And and I'm fascinated, to be honest. Like, when you start delving into Australian ecologies and in habitat species, it's so intoxicating. Like, you get so into it, and it's so interesting. And and I think because it's right here, it's like you can learn more about it. But at the same time, there's not much about it because people don't, for some reason. It's always like the grass is greener on the other side of the fence.
Yeah.
So, you know, and then like my partner's Norwegian. So, you know, we go to Norway, luckily, you know, every year before COVID. But, you know, I'm very lucky to be able to go there and see this like completely different change in ecosystems. And, you know, I go to their florists and I see things, and here's some Australian plants that we don't even use. And I'm like, what the hell? Like, people overseas go nuts for this stuff, and we don't even appreciate it. Like, it was so weird seeing, you know, billy buttons and things like that over there. And here they are growing in pots and people putting in their gardens. And I'm like, these things like Indigenous here, you know, we have so many Craspedia species and stuff like that. And we take it for granted. And they're so unique. Like, you will never see flowers like that in Australia. The flowers and the plant life here are just nothing you can never find. I mean, you can go to Asian countries and they've got amazing stuff, but here is so unique. And the fact that they can live in these depleted soils, man, pretty cool.
Yeah. It's funny when I talk to people, because I love Queensland plants. I love the lush and tropical. And then you talk to people in Queensland and they love plants that we can grow in Victoria, because it's like that grass is greener
Yeah,
constant.
it's a big thing, and I get it. Like, yeah, but you'd be really surprised. Like, if you really like all that luscious stuff, you know, you can still find plants that can kind of give you that look, and it can be all native. And I think it's just like, and it's hard to, like, it's just more our nurseries, or there needs to be a little bit more information out there to be able to give that to us. Like, you know, we are constantly learning here. You know, I still am too. Like, there's so much I need to keep learning my database. There's plants that we discover every time, plants that we use and see if they're going to work. It's never ending. And sometimes it is a little bit easier because there is so much information on those exotic species. Like, and that's probably where this thing called like the safety sort of works, is that, you know, when you know a plant works, you're going to use it a lot. And that's why you tend to see the same plants being used in gardens, because they're foolproof. But, you know, the risk involved in trying new stuff and you know, giving it a go, it's a risk, but this is where you start to learn, and you'll be able to teach that for others. And I think that's really important. So yeah, there's so much information, more so on exotic species than native in some aspects, but it's changing, and there's some great people out there that are, you know, putting all that information. I think Angus Stewart's fantastic for like showing all these natives and things like that. But yeah.
Have you ever done any education, like any teaching?
Yeah. So I've done quite a few talks now, and I've done a little bit of stuff for the London College of Design. I teach them about wetlands. We did something last week. Hobson's Bay Council wanted to do like a habitat talk and propagation session. So it was really cool. Obviously, last 2 years, there's been nothing like that. So I used to do a fair few talks before COVID. But yeah, so starting up again, thankfully. But yeah, so we did a habitat talk. I sort of showed people how, if you basically use natives and things like that and encourage wildlife, how it helps you. I got them all excited by saying, you know, if you have a microbat box, so I don't know if you know about microbats, but they're tiny little bat species that we've got about 16 species here in Victoria, and we can only hear about really only one. It makes a little noise, like a twitting noise. You might hear it at night, but I was telling them how these little species will eat over 500, like one little bat, which is literally like this big, can eat over 500 mosquitoes in a night. So like, they're like, what? And I was like, yeah. So like, this is how you can start to create like your gardens to be able to work for you. You know, install a bat box, you know, try and help if you've got like the mosquito issue, try and balance the ecology, so then you can prevent your mozzies from eating you. There's no such thing as mozzie repelling plants. It doesn't work. It's false. It's not true. It isn't true. So just get them to be eaten. But yeah, so I was teaching them all of that, and yeah, different plantings, how water is like something that attracts animals and things like that. And we had a raffle at the end, and I got all these boxes, and then we raffled them off, and everyone was so excited. And then my talk was followed by the Westgate Biodiversity Indigenous Nursery, teaching them propagation. So getting those Indigenous plants and showing them how to be propagated. So if you had things like the native bluebells, they're really beautiful Indigenous flower species all over Melbourne, really. If you have like just things like that, you can literally just get the seed and repropagate for next year. And it was just really nice, because I think when people learn that they can do, like they plant something and then they can do it themselves, or it's, you know, that one-on-one sort of aspect, it's so beneficial for them, and everyone goes out smiling and they've learned something, and it's practical. I find like you can do talks, but when you get that practical element to it and like physically showing all these things, it's just so rewarding for them. So yeah, I really like doing the talks, because I find like, yeah, education and teaching people and uplifting people in that way is fantastic, especially in the world of like environments and gardening, because you can do that in your backyard. I think that's really, really beneficial.
Yeah, propagating, I love it as well. And that's something that can get people really passionate, because they're just starting with a seed, and they you know, see it grow into a plant, and they could come from one of their plants they've already got. Yeah,
it's so good. It's rewarding, because then, you know, you've sort of got your own, I don't know, you got your own little herbarium basically. You plant your own. So yeah.
And I saw on your Instagram page, on your link, you've got there's a I don't know what you call it. It says it's the native seed propagation program with the Irrimu Native Plant Nursery. So what's happening there?
Well, that was it. I've just got to change the link back because I wanted people to get their ticket to go into it. So that's what that was. So that was for that weekend. So they could have signed up and joined the talk and putting all these plants in. So thank you for reminding me, because I'm really bad at keeping up on Instagram and social media. I'm really shocking. Like, I put up things, but I'm not good. That was one thing when I was working with Philip Withers. He is phenomenal in his marketing. Like, he is onto it. I just couldn't be bothered. I was like, oh.
So do you just do it because you feel like you have to?
Yeah, in a way. Well, you kind of do. Like, at the end of the day, if you shout the loudest, you get heard. I find like a lot of people who are shy, I tend to like go in and you're not heard as much, and that's definite. And I'm definitely a shyer one. I tend to like my own time. I'll do my work, and I'm very social, and I'm very like I like talking to people, but in my own time, I'm in my own time. So I always get funny with Instagram and all those sort of things. I don't know. I almost get like anxiety when I post something. I'm like, oh my God, is anyone going to like this? I don't know why. That's why I'm really impressed. Like, you do the podcast. Like, I get so shy with those sort of things. So I really take my hat off to all that sort of stuff. So
but I hate hearing people. It's weird how many people who've got a podcast say they're an introvert. But I'm pretty quiet as well. Like, I'm happy not to talk. Like, I can sit somewhere and not talk to other people. Because if I don't have something to say, I'm not going to talk just for the sake of talking.
I can still talk. I still like talking to people, but I think I just get like, and I think it's for everyone. Like, you're sort of showcasing yourself when you're doing your gardens. It's like art. Like, if you're an artist, it doesn't matter if it's with plants or whatever you do. You always like have a level of like, oh, I wonder if people are going to like that, or what are they sort of, I get a little bit funny with that sort of stuff sometimes. I find that design world can be kind of a little bit like rough sometimes too. It can definitely brings all sorts of people. So sometimes I just feel like tread lightly sometimes. And
Well, it's such an opinionated thing, isn't it? So, because some people might love something and some people will absolutely hate the exact same thing, because everyone's different.
Yeah, and like I said, I think it's really nice that there is different gardens, and it's like that's what everyone's about. You're bringing your own business or your own identity to be able to showcase that to the people who like that sort of stuff. Then that's why you need all those different bodies. So it is really good. It's important. Yeah.
With clients, when they contact you, do you ever have to sort of say no because they're not your ideal client?
Yes. Yeah, definitely. And I think one thing is, so for everyone who starts their own business at the start, you'll take on a lot of jobs, and you'll take them on because you want to, and you need to, really, because you need to learn from all your mistakes. And I'm luckily getting to the point now where, there's jobs where I'm just like, I know where I've been before, I've got that gut feeling, or I've got so much work on that you need to prioritize the work that you have, or the oncome, or the new work, and which one's a better fit for you. So and it is hard, because I've had it where people haven't responded well to me being like, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to decline proceeding with the job. And it's not anything to do with them. Sometimes it is, but but I mean, we all have to do it. And I think you get the gut feeling, and I hear a lot of people talking about their gut feeling. It's always usually very true. Mm-hmm. And you only have to be burned a few times to sort of know when you got to really act upon it. Otherwise, you get tainted, you get a bit burned, and that can make work a lot harder when you start to feel like you're going on and you're trying to help and you're trying to do the best you can, and yet you're kind of being like swamped and someone's sort of pressing on your back, and you're just like, I'm trying to do the best that I can, and I'm falling behind, and now I'm not enjoying my work. And that is the worst thing for people. And I know that during COVID, especially because we've just been flogged, a lot of people are burning out. And I know that a lot of people are trying to get as much work as they can done. They're trying to manage the expectations of their clients. They're trying to do all those little things, but it's always at the sacrifice of yourself. And at the end of the day, you're the one doing the job, and you got to do a good job. And as soon as you get tired, trust me, you will stuff up. You will make little mistakes because you're tired. We're human. But then, yeah, some clients can understand that really well and some don't. And yeah, but yeah, that's probably the best I can say it.
Yep. Yeah, it makes perfect sense. Another podcast I was listening to today, he was talking about when he was working 6 days a week compared to 7 days a week, the amount of work he would get done was 15% different, but he would get done 15% more work by working 6 days a week than working 7 days a week. So working 1 day less, but you get more work done because you need to refresh your mind and your body.
I still wouldn't be able to work 6 days a week. I'll stick it to 5. I've been saying I want to do 4 days weeks. I think it'll be great. I'd love to have 3-day weekends. I want to potter in my own garden.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah. We bought a roll.
Especially like an industry like it's creative, like landscape design is, you need to have a sharp mind.
Yeah, and that's a really good point, because I find that when we're on site planting, I could easily work 6 days actually, because I really enjoy the hands-on, and I feel like it's a different type of fatigue, because when you're working with your hands and you're on site and you're talking and you're like getting that stuff done, like you've got this task and you get it done. When you're on a computer, there are so many things that pop up. There's phone calls, there's emails, you're managing your staff, you're trying to do one of the projects, you're looking over their work. There is just so much that comes in. And I think I love being on site because, like I said, it's just the task that you have to get done. It's physical, and being physically fatigued is kind of good because you just go to bed. But being mentally fatigued is hell. Like, how do you go? Like, if you have to do like masses of quotes or proposals and you're on that computer and you're trying to do it, how do you feel compared to being on site? Like, is that something you get?
Yeah, they're completely different. Because if I'm doing something, like I love unloading my truck full of with rock or soil or anything. Like if I'm doing it, I won't let my guys do it because I want to do it, because I can just switch off. Don't have to think about anything. Just shoveling into a wheelbarrow, pushing the wheelbarrow, tipping it, going back, doing it again. You're not thinking much at all. Yeah. You might think, I don't want to go too high here, but that's it. Whereas if you're doing a quote or a design, you're switched on the whole time. So if you do, I reckon if you do 4 hours of design, is a similar fatigue from a full day on site.
Yeah.
So I have to have a full day off if I want to really do a design or quote properly.
Yeah, no, it's a full-on thing. That's why I'm like, if we're doing design all the time, like I want 4-day weeks. If I'm doing on site, I can easily do 5. But yeah, I found after, because we were really like on the computer all the time, especially during COVID. We did a lot of plant outs as well last year, but I found it was more like that. But I was definitely very burnt out at the start of this year. And it was just because like constantly on the computer, and we were looking at sites through like them doing Zoom and walking around the property. It was just, and it was so hard. And then I don't know, we went overseas to see my partner's parents, and I remember like we took 6 weeks off because both of us are fatigued, and my partner, he's a psychologist actually, so he's getting burnt out just from clients and people with mental issues. So we were just like these zombies, like, oh. And I remember like halfway through the break, I was just like, oh my God, I've stopped thinking, and it feels so good. Like I just felt so good that my brain was just like, I think of nothing. Like it's like you shoveling dirt. It's just like if I was just shoveling or I'm planting a plant in the ground, it's just that one single thing that I have to focus on, and everything goes. And how that heals your brain, it's phenomenal. I was like, it's empty.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was great. Yeah.
And it's just muscle memory, so you don't even have to think about it when you're doing it.
Yes. Yeah. So yeah, there's a lot of psychology there, I guess, with physical fatigue and mental fatigue. It's a very two different things. And
So what does the future hold for STEM? Like do you have plans to grow bigger than you are?
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I would like to keep going down, especially like the wetlands and like farm rehabilitation sort of aspects. I think that's really nice. I went into this because I really love wildlife. I love animals and I love bugs and stuff. And it's like, I don't know. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but that's where I want to be able to. There needs to be something more there. So whether or not I think what I really want to get into is doing rehabilitation for a lot of bigger wild places. So that'll be where I'm trying and where I think my path is going. So whether or not I, try and slow down certain areas and I start looking into that world, that's something I think I'd be quite passionate about and where I want to go. So I think bigger projects, but yeah, restoring ecosystems, like actually restoring. So I'm actually helping environments. And I'm still doing that, with more like residential spaces and commercial spaces in a respect, but it's very different when you're dealing with like a larger area. Like you're like, this is a reserve, we're going to fix this. So that is probably where I want to go.
Yeah. Because it's a similar amount, it's not similar, but it's not too much different amount of work, but making a massive difference in what it achieves.
Yeah. I think, it would be really cool. Like I had to turn down a job at the mid-year because they're doing like a rehabilitation of the grasslands, sort of going out like Thomastown area. I just couldn't fit it in with the timeline, and I'm like, damn it. But I really couldn't do it. But apparently like they'll get in contact with me like next year. So that'll be one start. So we'll just keep trying to get that sort of stuff. So yeah, I think that might be where we go.
And last two more questions for you. What's your favourite plant?
It always changes. What would it be now? There's Utricularia, which one of the staff brought it up again today, which is it's called a bladderwort. It's a beautiful aquatic plant with, you can get yellow flowers, you get pink flowers. They have them in Tassie. They're called fairy aprons. And they're really cool because they're carnivorous. They're called a bladderwort because they've got these little bladders, and then that they do is they suck in daphnia and they eat that, but then they can also like photosynthesize and they have beautiful little flowers. And I think fairy aprons are a very fitting term for it, because you go into these like ecologies and you just see these cute little flowers and they look like little fairy dresses and they're just gorgeous. But yeah, but then they have this evil side to them that they're carnivorous. So I think I like that. I like evil pretty plants. So yeah, that would probably be it. Yeah.
And who do you think would be a good guest to have on the podcast?
Oh, the next time.
Yeah, who should I get on?
I reckon, do you want someone that's in design or can do artistry or things like that, or someone that's completely new or different?
Yeah, anyone with some sort of vague link to the landscaping industry.
I've got a great friend, Adrian, who I love, and his plant knowledge is exceptional, but maybe, that's really into more landscaping. Who else? Oh gosh, you put me on the spot. Maybe Mel. Maybe that was my other friend Mel, who does stag designs. I don't know. I can forward that to you if you want. Yeah. Get some. Maybe we kind of keep on with the meeting sort of thing. I don't know. Yeah. See what goes on.
Yeah, I like that idea.
Yeah. But yeah.
Em, thanks so much for coming on and sharing your passion. It's obvious to see. So I love talking. That's one of the things I love about doing this podcast. Is talking to people who love what they do as much as you do. So thanks for coming on.
Thank you, Joel. No, it was so nice. So good to talk to you again. Like I said, I've seen you for so long, and I've always said you're awesome. I've told everyone, I was like, no, Joel is awesome. He's actually a really good guy. He's really lovely. But yeah, it's good to see you. So hope we catch up in person in the future.
Yeah, good.